Today's Tri-State PGA Junior Golf Minute is presented by Isley's. Hi everybody, we're back with the Tri-State PGA Junior Golf Minute. Joining us today is our special guest, Lisa Warrilow. Lisa is the head women's golf coach at St. Francis University. And Lisa, thanks for taking some time to chat with us today.
No problem. Thanks for having me, Bob.
My pleasure. And Lisa, just to let our listeners and folks watching the stream and everything, just tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, how you got to St. Francis, and I guess we'll get started there.
Okay, so actually, I started playing golf when I was about 10 years old, and kind of went through all the stages that they offer in England, and got the opportunity to play college golf at a school in New Jersey, Fairleigh Dickinson in New Jersey. I had 4 great years there. And then after graduating, I sort of didn't quite want to go back to England just yet and was enjoying the college life. So I took up the opportunity to be the graduate assistant for the women's golf team at St. Francis. And I'd got to know the St. Francis golf team kind of through playing and my college experiences there. So I came over to St. Francis, had 2 great years being the assistant coach for the women's team. Made some really great contacts, and then kind of carried on in my golfing journey. Did my PGA. I worked at a resort down in Georgia, and saw kind of that private sector resort style, and just wanted to get back into college athletics and to kind of work with the younger generation and help them in their golfing journey. And the opportunity came to come back to St. Francis as the women's golf coach. So I've been in now for 3 years.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. You know, obviously some different experiences, Lisa, you know, being at FDU and, you know, at St. Francis, a couple different, real different environments, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, kind of polar opposite campuses for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when you played, at FDU, Lisa, what were some of the things you remember as being a college golfer, you know, kind of balance and those kind of things?
Yeah, I think sort of athletes in general kind of shared this ability to time manage really well and sort of goal focused. Just being able to excel at both the academics and the athletics was really important. But I think sports and golf specifically kind of gives you that sort of internal set of skills really to be able to look at the bigger picture and time manage and just really focus on what's important and be efficient with your time. And I noticed, you know, that sort of self-desire to constantly improve, always reach higher goals, things like that, was something that both myself and my teammates kind of shared. Even we were kind of a blend of internationals and Americans, and it was just a common theme throughout that they had that self-motivation and drive to get better regardless of the resources we had, that it was sort of down to you and you were in control of where you ended up.
Yeah. That's a really interesting, you know, I think a lot of players, and I'm going to ask you that same question in a couple of minutes, you know, on the coaching side, but I think that's important for folks, players, parents to hear that. So Lisa, in your role at St. Francis, what kind of player are you looking for to fill out your team?
So I think it's really important as a college golfer is to sort of show that you have room to grow. I know everyone's sort of looking at their ability right now and thinking that's almost the end game, but it's like you've got to look at what you can do over the next 4 years. And it's almost like this might be your starting point, but is it going to be your ending point? And whether you can contribute in that first year, that second year as a senior, I think it's important that you then look and you have that self-drive sort of that I mentioned before, that you are going to continue to improve. You know, if I'm looking at you of where you are as a high school senior, I'd like everyone to show that they also have somewhere to progress beyond that.
I think that's interesting. You know, a lot of kids and a lot of, you know, parents that are playing are thinking, okay, you know, I got to get here. I've got to get to this point. But maybe a player that is just starting to kind of flourish in their sophomore or junior year, Lisa, is someone that may excel.
And I definitely, I like to tell people that, you know, I can't tell you your potential. You know, you can show that to me though with what you're willing to do. but only you're able to achieve your potential. And I think it's important that that's where we look rather than where players are right now.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. And when you're looking, and we get a lot of questions, from the girls on our tour. What do you see? Are you looking at overall scores? Are you looking at distance? What are some of the key, attributes that you're looking for too, Lisa?
I think scores definitely tell a story, but they're not the ultimate picture. I think it's a lot of it too, and it's everything that you're able to bring to the team. So it's about being a good team player. It's about having that desire to want to improve as a golfer and enjoy golf. College golf is a lot of playing. I mean, you might think you practice and play a lot, but if you're practicing every day and then you have tournaments on the weekend too, that's a lot of golf. And it's important that the girls sort of understand that and then sort of want to continue that. And that's an area that they think they can thrive in.
Yeah. And
carry on, Bob.
Yeah. One of the questions that comes up too, Lisa, and I've heard this more and more as I start to understand college golf more. Talk a little bit about that team aspect. Obviously our game is, individual, and we want to do well individually, but talk about how important it is as a team.
Yeah. And it's sort of, team golf is sort of that oxymoron, right? Because we're not really used to doing it as a team. But it's twofold. I think it's about the results. We play five people and count the best 4 scores. So there is an individual accolade at the end, but team results are much more important in college golf. So there's being able to excel as a team, always bringing in the lowest score you possibly can. It doesn't matter what that number is. It's about bringing in the lowest score for that day. A lot of teams that win a lot of the college tournaments I'm at, they have 2 or 3 very good players, and then that 4th score is always a little higher. And that's sort of, it's very hard to make up those shots with the last 2 or 3 better players. And then also it's difficult because you tend to have more players on the team than you take to the tournament. So you're always qualifying for those travel positions, and everyone wants to go to every tournament. And I always sort of say, listen, as a team, we want to be better than other schools. And it's important that if we don't make the travel team, we look at things we can do ourselves to get better rather than hoping someone plays worse so we make that team. And I think it's about encouraging and trying to pull everyone up rather than having that individualistic mindset and hoping someone kind of slips up coming down the 18th so you get to travel.
It's interesting you bring that up, Lisa. We've had the chance to talk with some other college coaches, and I can see, where you think you have that mindset of, okay, I want that player to make that double on 18 so I can get in there. But it's the opposite, because you only get better as a team, and it makes you want it a little bit stronger, and makes you want to be, makes you want to be just that much better. And having that kind of internal competition makes everybody better in the end.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Cool. Now, Lisa, obviously, we both know as me going to St. Francis. St. Francis can be a little bit of a tough place to recruit. When you look at those areas. Talk a little bit about how you recruit a player to St. Francis.
I think honestly, all I can say really is it's a dual thing with the school and what the school has to provide academically. I think it's always important that any player looking at any school thinks they're suited there academically, they have the degree they want, and are able to do things that they want after leaving school. St. Francis obviously has a lot of health science majors, things like that. So I tend to have a lot of girls on my team pursuing health science majors. But also you've got to look at the campuses. Like you said, FDU is very different to St. Francis also, in that it was the metropolitan style. I liked being close to New York City. And then you have St. Francis that's the more rural setting. And it's more the campus, the community, and activities they do on campus, whereas sort of FDU and that metropolitan style was everything that was offered off campus. And it really is, it's so individual to the person. I think it's important. It's very difficult for me to sort of go out and reach to people and make St. Francis fit. if it's not what they want. I think it's important that everyone kind of has an idea of what school they're looking for, type-wise, major-wise, and then sort of sees if, there's a golf program there that they could fit into.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. There's that fit, and I think that's important. That when you get a player, when you get a girl that gets out there and says, this, I can see myself fitting there. It's just a much better situation for everyone involved. Lisa, talk a little bit about how important, along those same lines, how important it is that player gets the full experience. Yeah, you might want to have, you might want to be there putting, and in your case, when the range opens, just kind of hitting balls and spending all of your free time there. Talk about how important it is for the player to transition into the entire university experience.
I think it's really important, and I have, we have sororities obviously on campus, and some girls have sort of loved that experience, some haven't. There's other clubs, art clubs, craft clubs that some girls have really taken into, drama clubs. I definitely encourage them to absorb all of that. I think there's a lot of just different things that you can be exposed to that you maybe didn't think that you would enjoy, that you never knew existed, that are offered. And it's almost like those 4 years are sort of, you're playing with house money in a sense. You can go try it and you're not restricted, or you're not sort of signed up to it in any way. You can try something different and it doesn't matter. And that's 4 years to really figure out what you enjoy and what you want to pursue maybe afterwards, or just kind of take up as a hobby. Even club sports, things like that. You have this time to expose yourself to everything that there is to offer and see what you like. Definitely those that, and it's sort of what I say when people are looking at sort of signing up to college athletics too. It's, you can make any school fit you. It's how much you want to dive into it. You'll have this is what we have to offer, but you'll have a great experience if you put in the time to have it. If you come in with the right attitude, really campuses are just buildings and classes, but you can have a phenomenal experience if you come in with the right attitude. And I think everyone is sort of thinking that it's really important to have every box ticked when they look at schools. And I think more it's about having the right attitude when you start, and kind of being open-minded to all the experiences that you have there.
Yeah, I think you said that perfectly. You can. I like that. I did that analogy of buildings, and classrooms. Everything else is what makes the university community. Lisa, how do you take the approach when you're recruiting? And I guess more importantly, how do you help parents help you in this process? How do you talk with the parents and encourage them to be maybe a parent rather than a golf coach?
Yeah, I think really it's just about honesty. It's like I said before, like there's people I would love to come, and I think their golf skills would be awesome for my golf team, but it's just not the place for them. And I have to be honest with them. I don't want them to come for 1 year and then have to transfer out because I was selling them a story that isn't real. I think, St. Francis, for example, what it is, it does really well, but we can't pretend to be something else. We can't pretend to be that metropolitan campus. So it really is just about being honest with them and not sort of looking at a student for an enrollment number or just what they can bring to me. I want them to be able to understand what we have on offer and if that truly is going to be a good fit for them or not.
Yeah, great. I think that's well said too. You've got to get the whole picture, like we've talked about. Now, Lisa, one of the things obviously is as kids are just kind of sitting around. I shouldn't say sitting around. They're doing online. They're not able to get out as much. What are things that they should be thinking about as they get ready to, prepare to get into these junior golf seasons? What are some ideas, some things you think they should be thinking about?
I think, it's one of those. Obviously, I see what you're showing me when I come in and watch tournaments, things like that. But it's also things that you're not sort of score-wise and tournament result-wise, I'm still looking for. It's about having the right attitude. It's about being prepared. It's about showing a certain independence that that you're able to take responsibility for certain things. And I mean, golf actually exposes a lot of those things as we play, sure. And I think we're sort of fortunate to have that in our sport and in our game. But also just academics are really important. You know, there's certain academic thresholds that you have to meet to get into any school. And you never want to focus so much on golf that you can't get into a school that you really want to go to. And I think sort of just that maturity level, and again, being a team player, I couldn't actually say what I put more focus on. It's the entire package when I'm looking at a player, that they'll fit the school, that they'll fit into the team, and obviously that they have potential to reach in their golf game. But it's not just a singular focus of a golf score, I wouldn't say.
Okay. Yeah, I think that, a lot of, like I said before, a lot of girls are out there going, okay, I'm shooting this score, I'm shooting that score. I'm not going to be able to, get into XYZ based on those scores. And really what you're saying is that's just part of your puzzle that you're just
getting. And I think there's something to be said too. And I think maybe it gets overlooked, but there's a lot to be said for taking a 9 and then par in the next hole. Regardless of the total you actually scored for that day, there's still stories to be said within that round by itself.
Yeah, that's interesting you bring that up, because there are so many times, and even in our professional careers, at least speaking for myself playing, where you make that big number and then you come back on the next hole and you make the birdie or you make a great par. And I can see where as a college coach, that shows you, okay, yeah, those numbers are going to happen, but you're able to rebound and get back there. I like that. I like that thought process a lot.
Yeah. And I think sort of, yes, we play golf and we're golf coaches, but I definitely want to feel like I had an impact on the person and the growth of that person when they leave, and sort of helped them, contribute to society in a better way. I know we have Franciscan goals at St. Francis, and it's sort of continuing that trend. And that's sort of where I look to. I want to be able to have an impact on them as people as well as players. And it's sort of showing that resilience on the golf course. And that's something that I really admire and sort of hope to encourage throughout my team too.
Yeah, that's great stuff, Lisa. And one of the things too that I kind of want to talk with you about is, obviously you've seen the transition from the young, shy, senior in high school becoming a freshman. What do you see as some of the challenges for those young ladies as they leave their senior year of high school and they become freshmen? What are some of the things that they struggle with, and how can they overcome those?
I think it definitely depends. I mean, obviously, it's an entirely new experience, completely different from really probably anything else they've ever experienced. You're away from home. You have the demands of the college class schedule now and college work. And then you also have this unlimited freedom to do whatever you want with your time outside. And you really sort of have to create your own structure. And I think that's with everything from free time to eating to the extracurricular activities. And I think that freshman year really is sort of a whirlwind of just new experiences. And obviously making new friends, you're exposed to so many different things so quickly. And it's really, I think golf itself, I found, at least in my experience, that golf was really that anchor point for me. Golf didn't change. The sport was still the same. You still played 18 holes. And that's where I sort of found that anchor point to then build everything from. And I think that's one of the nice things about playing just college sports in general. You have that team already built in. So that's that already established friendship group that you'll have a range of ages in too. So you have those seniors that can kind of impart some knowledge on you and really just help and encourage you to kind of flourish in that first year. But it's almost sort of everyone goes through it. Everyone's in the same boat, or everyone's been there at least, so they can all relate. Don't panic. You're not the first person to sort of be in this situation, but understand you're there for a reason too. People believe in you, and this is your opportunity, and just kind of see it as an opportunity rather than any pressure that might build up. You're able to, people have given you this opportunity because they know you have the skill set to flourish in it. So just relax and kind of take that on board, and you'll find your way.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We've been talking with Lisa Warrilow, who is the women's golf coach at St. Francis. And Lisa, just in closing, anything else that you want to add? Anything else you think that's important? Maybe things that your players have said to you. Oh, I never thought about that. That you can share with folks that are thinking about heading off and playing collegiately.
Yeah, first and foremost, college golf kind of changed every aspect of my life. I ended up meeting my husband, and I kind of came back to St. Francis, and nothing about my life would be the same if I didn't play golf and play college golf. And it really was the best 4 years of my life. So it's sort of, I encourage anyone who is thinking about it to kind of pursue that avenue. And also, there is a place for everyone. Like I said, St. Francis offers a certain metric of things, but there are so many college golf programs out there that you'll find the right one for you. And it's really about the growth. Every college coach is looking about how they can aid you in your golfing journey. So if you're not at a point yet that you think you sort of can't make it, you can, and keep pushing and go for, your dreams or your goals, whatever you have. But there's a place for everyone. So don't feel like you're not where you need to be, because you'll definitely find a place there. And you have to love the game. And I know everyone thinks they do, but just understand how much time and effort it goes into playing a college sport, and definitely in golf. So just make sure it's something you'll enjoy. But it's definitely, I sort of say nothing's forever. If you don't enjoy it, that's fine. You can go pursue something you want to, but at least you've had the opportunity. So if you're thinking about it, I definitely encourage you to kind of pursue that opportunity.
That's awesome, Lisa. Thanks for taking some time with us today. I appreciate your thoughtfulness and sharing some thoughts. And I'm sure our golfers will see you out and about at some of our junior events. And feel free, folks, if you see Lisa, to ask her questions. Very very knowledgeable, and she'll help you out. So, Lisa, thanks again for taking time with us today, and we'll see you soon.
No problem. Thanks a lot, Bob. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Thank you, Lisa, for your insights. This has been the Tri-State PGA Junior Golf Minutes.